Yeah, because they have to do that. Our people don't. Just
Now, yeah.
wow.
Now, you kind of spoke on it briefly. Is it true that Diddy got her fired from the radio station? Did he have anything to do with that?
I think that he had. Yes, I think he got. Well, let's be clear. Nobody got fired.
Okay.
He got suspended.
Okay.
Yeah. Did he use his influence and power with Steve Smith and him at the time, and God knows whatever his relationship was with the overall station, because Bad Boy was a powerhouse. We all know how Bad Boy dominated a large part of the '90s, and as far as New York, there was a powerhouse. So was he, King Joffrey Joe? Yeah. Did he go in there and shake him up and say, yo, I want this chick off. She's dissing my group and all kinds of shit. Yeah. Did he get a fired? So, at the time, he used his influence, and he definitely got us suspended. He was the shit. And the suspension led to me having to get a lawyer again and get her out the contract, get a federal judge to recognize what's happening, because legally you can't just hire somebody for one thing and then shove them into like a fucking copier or mailroom clerk position,
right,
to diminish their intellectual value, property in the market. So yeah, he used it, but to say it on some street shit, yeah, he definitely got it off air and was able to run around and pop shit about that. But in the same regard, he was one, and he would, and obviously people who know the wrath of Mr. Combs know that he, at the time you couldn't tell him shit, and he was doing whatever he wanted to do. But to the credit of what we was doing, he got her out of the station. He didn't erase her from the off the map. He probably didn't expect us to go and grind this shit out and get that crazy. And it was a lot of everybody when they seen us when we came back to BLS and took that fucking station in 3 months from 0 to 100. They all had to recognize, even the people in the competition on other stations. And I like to say that 6-7 years later, he was sitting on the couch giving her praise and kissing her. And he's a smart politician. He didn't have to do that. He knew what he did. But as soon as, if anybody will archive that interview with Diddy when he first came to sit on that couch, the first thing he did was pay absolute homage. Because I'm pretty sure the guilt of what he knew he played a part in, like he might have did with other people's careers, he didn't absolutely do that. I want to salute the motherfucker. Like, yo, if you didn't do that, it probably wouldn't have been no TV, because we had to leave the market to do that. Wow. So to answer the question, did I see the vision? The vision didn't come. The vision didn't come until the same thing that happened with a lot of the radio companies, because I had the experience of working within the Clear Channel system, and then the MS broadcasting system, and now inner city system. And at some point, all those systems, when you're dealing with high level talent, they find a way to pay you when they need you. And then when they realize when they realize they need to free up some money, and they might think that, okay, well, even though they're hot, we got to start looking for the next lick, and we got to save some money now. Like, we done made some money, so now we need to make more by getting a cheaper talent. All of them subscribe to the same formula. And I think that what was happening on the inner city level was the evolution of the talk show, because it was a different kind of, it wasn't just the hip hop 4-player-4 stuff. It was more like the acts, Wendy. It was more like the informative. It was almost like a whole show was playing out throughout the day. And the kind of audience, along with growing up with the demo kind of evolved into that. And I think the whole big break really came from, it wasn't just me recognizing it, but when she filled in one day for the whole week for Fox on their morning show. And the numbers that came out of that morning show made everybody go crazy, to a point where they ran to these two people who really wasn't a production company. Deadmau Mercury, I give them credit for giving us a shot, but they were pretty much syndication sellers. They would get their hands on product from whether it was South Park and licensed some of their stuff. They got in a deal with that. They got in a deal with Tyler Perry when he first got into TNT with Meet the Browns, and they was intricate in helping, I think, agent or orchestrate like $100 million deal for Tyler. But whatever happened, Tyler never fucked with them again. Whatever they did, however their practices was, he never really wanted to fuck with them again. And he kind of told us, or wanted to tell us, but we couldn't connect. When the whole ride first started with this company, then he was trying to tell us what to look out for, but our paths couldn't cross. You know what I'm saying? Because he was a busy man, and but he did make an effort to reach out, and I salute him for that. But yeah, it was evolving on the radio. They recognized it over there at Fox. When they first came, when I sat down with Mort and Ira from Deadmau Mercury, and they wanted to do a show. At that point, we had done a few different pilots. They wanted us to be part of Kamora Lee when she had her show at the time, and Jules Ashner, they had a show, and there was a ton of different people that would come, and I used to hold out and tell her, like, nah, you need to wait. And I think there was a situation in a pilot shot with Monique and Melanie Camacho years ago with the guy who used to executive produce Live at the Apollo. And speaking on the buffoonery, no disrespect to Miss Monique, who I know has evolved as a beautiful comedian, and she's a voice, but I think that the day that pilot was shot, and this is with Buena Vista Television, which is Disney, and they really didn't have a script as to how everything was going to go, and he was just trying to get footage of two black girls and call the show Girlfriends, and Monique was the comedian, and she was, I guess, whatever voice or however they was trying to find the space. And I never forget, they were shooting one of the scenes at Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. And again, with all respect to the queen, I consider Monique a queen of comedy, but at the time, in her earlier years, coming out of Maryland, it was a big deal for both of them to be out there in LA and getting wooed by Disney for a potential talk show. And, we had Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles, and they shooting the scene, and I never forget. I didn't know what was going to happen, and they was like, action. Shorty sitting by Monique, and they're like, action. And the first thing Monique does is shove like a whole waffle in her mouth. And I'm like, okay, it's funny, but I'm like, I knew that it was a different kind of funny. And if that was her shtick, because at the time, if that was where they was going with it, and they told her this is what we want you to do, then cool. But I know when I saw it, I'm like, that should look crazy.
Right.
I'm like, wait a minute. That's not kind of funny. And I'm listening, I'm still like, at the time I'd be 29, 30. I'm like, yo, I don't know about this. I don't care if the Mickey Mouse is the ears is involved or whatever, but this is not the right fit. So there was a lot of things that I turned down, waiting for the right moment, knowing that if you exhaust your shot, you ain't gonna necessarily get it again. So I would want to say that it was a mixture of them recognizing it with the feeling, and it was being cultivated from BLS for the last, I want to say, 2 years of the deal. At BLS, she was kind of cultivating the show. At the time, we was together, and it was like a dream. And I was fielding meetings, so I didn't take them seriously when they came with it. And they were the first people that after the 6 to 8 months after we signed on, I was really just looking forward to the pilot money and having another piece of content that we could use in the resume. I didn't think they could do it, but the relationships with Fox, and going to the 6-week sneak peek, the test that she's like the only person that passed the shit. Like out of all the 234 shows that they tested on Fox, including the Kardashians, and all of them came, and that was the only show that made it. And 10 years later, it still was rocking, and I was part of, when it came and they all came to fruition, and everything that had to come together, it was like jumping into a pool of bland, like just think of some bland mashed potatoes. You know what I'm saying? Like they ain't got no taste, it's just potatoes, milk, and a little bit of butter. You jumping head first in them, no taste. That's how the show, that's where the inception of the show was looking like in their eyes. Like it got picked up, and obviously it was produced It was produced based off of a lot of the radio show shit.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, you cannot, you cannot carry a show that long just based off of what you did yesterday.
Right.
And even Howard Stern, who had a bit of jealousy, I might add, to the fact that he could conquer every fucking thing in the world, but he couldn't conquer his own. They did not want him in the nights to do night talk show, and he could not do a daytime show. But he conquered everything else, and he, it's a feat, yeah. So that's how it kind of came together. And, I know that was a long-winded answer, and y'all gonna find a way to edit it right. But a lot of what I said in there is, if there's anything I left out, I nurtured it based off of and fought for it based off of the love I had for the person and seeing. I mean, everybody know that that her diction and how she carried shit out was different from everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Typical girl at the time was coming on the radio with the yo shit, and she was taking you to school, so to speak. And she came from a school of jocks that kind of, showed her the way too. So it was somewhat effortless in a sense. When you got somebody that can talk,
right?
Talk, and when we say talk, like they extended her a whole hour, so it's 5 hours of talking, not the normal 4 hours of talking. Like a lot of people can't talk.